My name is Eric Steinhardt, and this is the arguments for universals. Let's start with Hypatia. Hypatia was a Neoplatonic philosopher. She lived from about 350 to 370 in the Common Era. And we're going to use Hypatia to illustrate the argument from reference. Consider the sentence, Hypatia is a woman. The word Hypatia is about something in the world. Hypatia is a name that refers to a particular woman, to Hypatia. If Hypatia is about something in the world, then the word woman is also about something in the world. It's a word, just like Hypatia, and so it refers to something about Hypatia. Therefore, woman is a name that refers to a universal. We can generalize this. So we've got Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates. There are names. Aristotle refers to that guy Aristotle. Plato refers to Plato. Socrates refers to Socrates. And you can see the horizontal arrow from Aristotle to that guy, that little stick figure. That's reference. The name Aristotle refers to the guy. But Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates are all men. Each one is an instance of man, and so you can say Aristotle is a man. And the common noun man should also function like a name. So the common noun man refers to M. So just as Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates all fall under the word man, so the individual particular things, the particular men, fall under the universal man. So there's a parallelism of relations. Now let's go to a generalized argument from reference. All content words, like nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, are names. Names refer to things in the world. Proper names, like Socrates or Hypatia, refer to particular things. Other content words refer to universals. Common nouns like woman refer to types or kinds. Adjectives like red refer to properties. Verbs refer to relations. Now let's turn to the argument from abstract reference. There's a Roman soldier. He's very courageous, so let's talk about courage. Consider the true sentence, courage is a moral virtue. The word courage functions grammatically like the name Socrates. The word courage is the subject in a subject-predicate sentence. The subjects of true sentences exist. Socrates is a man implies that there exists some X such that X is a man. Just as Socrates refers to Socrates, so courage refers to courage. Courage is a moral virtue implies there exists some U such that U is a moral virtue. U, of course, is going to be courage. But courage is not a particular thing. If courage is not a particular, then it's a universal. So courage is a universal. And let's turn to the argument from sharing. Here are two brothers, Eric and Carl. They have the same father. But that means there exists some X such that X is the father of Eric and X is the father of Carl. We can express it a little more logically using the existential quantifier, that backwards E, saying there exists D, and D is the father of Eric and D is the father of Carl. Sharing. Here's an apple and a fire truck. They share the color red. So we continue our argument from sharing. That apple and that fire truck have the same color, namely red. But that means, just as in the case of Eric and Carl, that there exists some X such that X is the color of the truck and X is the color of the apple. Put it in logical language, there exists some R such that R is the color of the truck and R is the color of the apple. R is a color. R is a universal. Now let's turn to the one over many argument. And this is the argument that doesn't involve any language. This is just an argument about the way things are. So start by considering that many different objects that share some feature in common. Plato and Socrates are two different particular people, but they share common structure. And so that common structure exists. But what is it? Call what they share in common humanness. Suppose humanness is identical with Plato. If what Plato and Socrates share in common is Plato, then Socrates is identical with Plato. But that's false. Humanness is not Plato. Suppose humanness is identical with Socrates. If what Plato and Socrates share in common is Socrates, then Plato is identical with Socrates. But that's false. So humanness is not Socrates. Humanness is neither Plato nor Socrates. Since what they share in common, namely humanness, is neither Plato nor Socrates, it must be some third thing which is distinct from both of them. Therefore, there exists some third thing they share in common. This third thing is not any particular, it's a different kind of thing. It's a universal. Those are some arguments that universals exist. Thank you for listening. I'm Eric Steinhardt.